Hello guys, welcome back. Now today I'm going to be making a much anticipated video. I'm going to be ranking my favorite NHL teams 1 through 31. This video is likely to be very long, so grab your popcorn and let's get started. And just a little bit of disclaimer before we get into it, I do not hate any NHL team, I just have some that I dislike. So if your team is lower on the list than others, don't be triggered, don't be offended. It doesn't mean that I actually hate your team. Now, starting off the list at number 31, I have the Chicago Blackhawks, and they've been my least favorite team for quite a while, and might just be my least favorite team forever. I just do not like the team at all. Yes, I have respect for them. I have respect for their logo, their jersey, their overall look. It's very clean. I have respect for their franchise history, but to me right now, the team is just very unlikable. I don't like Kane at all. Taves is just on a whole nother level of dislike. I just don't like the team all in all, and honestly, I've just hated them forever, and I've kind of drilled it in my mind that I don't like them. Number 30, the Anaheim Ducks. Now, I can make a whole video about this, but the Anaheim Ducks, basically, all you have to know is Corey Perry, Ryan Getzlaf, and Ryan Kessler. It's just an unlikable group, and while I do have some players that I like on that team, especially like guys like Rickard Rakell, it's just like Corey Perry, Ryan Kessler, the team overall is not that likable. I don't really love their look either. Just the team all in all is pretty ugly. It just does not scream my favorite team, and for Anaheim, they've just been pretty meh for me, and have just dropped steadily after the last couple of years. At number 29, I have the Ottawa Senators, and this is probably the biggest drop from last year's rankings, where the Ottawa Senators, I think, were in the middle of the pack, but man, have they dropped this past season. The team just got as unlikable as they could ever get. Eugene Melnyk has pretty much dropped them this far, and their jerseys are okay, their logos are okay, but for me, just the team overall has just been such a terrible place with ownership that I just don't like them at all. It's not because they're a bad team. I'm fine with bad teams being bad, but just the situation of the management is just so disgusting and so just terrible, I just can't root for them one bit. At number 28, I have the St. Louis Blues, and they used to be my second least favorite team, of course, ahead of Chicago, but the more that I look at it, the more I actually like this kind of team. They're not that unlikable anymore. I feel like they kind of changed their identity since, of course, they won against the Dallas Stars in the 2016 second round, which, again, is still in my heart. But to me, the St. Louis Blues have been getting a little bit more likable every single year since then, and they've been slowly coming up. For me, the St. Louis Blues, I like their jersey, I like their look, and the team is just getting a little bit more likable every single year. They're still down there, but they're rising. At number 7, I have the Vancouver Canucks, and they've been kind of in the dumpster for quite a while. I hate their jersey. It is absolutely atrocious. I do not like that logo. I feel like it could be a little bit better. The Orca just does not work too much for me. The team overall, I just do not like it. Of course, with the Sedins leaving, I feel like it's an even worse team. I really did like the Sedins, so them leaving is a bit of a sad sight for my sore eyes, but I just don't like the team overall. It's just not a very likable team. When I look at that team, it doesn't really stand out. It doesn't really have a lot of players that I like to see on the ice, and to me, Vancouver is just going to be a med team next season, and they're a pretty med team in general. At number 26, I have the Montreal Canadiens, and this has to do a little bit with the management here. I despise Marc Bergevin. He's just so bad. And of course, you got Molson as the owner, which I just do not agree with at all. He's just been a terrible owner for the last few years, and the team overall, the management is just dragging it down a little bit for me. The team overall is not that likable to me, and they have a lot of guys that I'm like, I really don't like, especially guys like Andrew Shaw. I just cannot despise. It's just not the greatest team. It's just a pretty unlikable team when it comes down to it. The team overall is not heading in a great situation either, as the team already is in a bad spot. At number 25 are the Detroit Red Wings, and no, it's not because they're bad that they're this low. It's just the style of play. It's just the style of hockey that they play. To me, Ken Holland is past his time. Even though he had a decent draft, I feel, and even though he's had a decent offseason, I feel like the free agent signings that he's made in the past hasn't really detrimented this team, and of course that playoff streak did not do anything good for them. For the Detroit Red Wings, I like their style, I like their look. The team overall is decent, but there's just some guys that really anchor that team, and I just don't like watching their hockey. They're very boring, they're very slow, they're one of the oldest teams in the league, and they're just very much a pain to watch. At number 24, I have the Pittsburgh Penguins, and of course, yes, this has something to do with their 3 cup rings in the last few years, and yes, I will admit, it does happen to be because of their success. It does happen to be because of those cup rings. I like the team in general. The look, the logo is decent. Some of the players are good in my books for sure. But the team overall, I just feel, is heading in a kind of distasteful direction. The players on the roster have slowly been getting a little bit unlikable as the years go by. And for me, like guys like Letang, who I used to like a lot, have really decreased. And I just don't like the team as much as I used to. At number 23, I have another Pennsylvania team, the Philadelphia Flyers. And of course, Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers right next to each other is not the greatest thing ever. But with the Philadelphia Flyers, they've been kind of in the meh territory in my books for quite a while. Their jerseys are okay. Their logo is okay. The team has taken a little bit of steps this past season, of course, making the playoffs. But the team overall has always been in that mess state for me, to where I like some of the players. I like their look a little bit, but they're just like a kind of team that I kind of forget about sometimes. And maybe next year that changes, but for the Philadelphia Flyers, their team is good, and I like it. It's just not one of my favorites. At number 22, I have the New York Rangers, and they've been a team that has also, kind of gone down in my books in a little while in this last couple of years. For me, the team right now is not the most likable. They could have a little bit better of players, but I like the rebuild that they're going in right now. I like the direction that they're hitting in right now. It's just that the team is kind of in that mode to where they're not going to play the greatest hockey, and that's kind of gonna lose them my interest at least in a little bit in them. I like their goal horn. I like their look. It's okay. It's just not one of the greatest. And for New York, they've kind of been, again, like Philadelphia, in that mucky middle for me for quite a while, but it really does depend on either year. At number 21, I have the Boston Bruins, and pretty much the only reason they're even that high is because of David Pastrnak. I really do like Pastrnak, and the rest of the team is just kind of meh for me. Bergeron is a well-respected player in my books. Marchand is Marchand, and the team overall is just not the I feel like they're pretty fun to watch, but they're not the most, I guess, clean team to say it, at least. And to me, they're just, the culture around them, it really does depend on your taste of teams. But for me, Boston is kind of in that middle area to where, yes, I like their jersey, I like their look, but the team overall, the culture just doesn't scream to me a team that I will cheer for all the time. At number 20, I have the LA Kings. It's kind of painful for me to put them this low. I love the LA Kings jerseys. I love those. The logo is pretty good as well. The team overall is kind of in a tipsy. For me, I like Anze Kopitar. I really do like Drew Doughty. I really like a few select players on the team, but it's pretty much a polar opposite. It's guys like Dustin Brown that bring it down. Other guys that are just not the greatest for me, and I just love some players and I hate some players, which puts it, again, in that mucky middle to where I can't really judge them too much. At number 19, I have the Buffalo Sabres, and this is just a little bit of me feeling bad for them in the last couple of years, but of course, they're starting to recollect it. They're starting to get guys like Rasmus Dahlin to really fit in. Casey Middlestad is looking fantastic, and I love the direction that Buffalo is heading right now with the youth, that they've really embraced that, and of course, acquiring Jeff Skinner was fantastic. I really do like their jerseys. I think they're very, very sharp, and I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I do like it. The logo is decent. I love some of those players like Jack Eichel. Some of those players are really, really fun to watch. I feel like next year we could see a great Buffalo Sabres team, a team that may make the playoffs, which to me, I liked what I saw last season of the direction they're heading, and this next season I feel like they'll be even more likable. At number 18, I have the New Jersey Devils, and yes, this does surprise me that they're this high on the list. I think last year they were like 20 to 25th. They were really down there. I just did not like their style of hockey. I just hated the Devils' system that they've had in the past 15 years. They've always banged in. But with the new Adidas era, of course, changing up the jerseys, I feel like that, while I don't think it affected them on the ice, kind of put in a new era. That this is a new New Jersey Devils team. Of course, they made the playoffs just by a little bit. Taylor Hall leading them to that playoffs, and the team overall was very likable. They're very fast. They're just a completely different team that we've seen in the last few years, and I really come to love them because of that. At number 17, I have the New York Islanders. Now, they've always been in this area of I like them, but I don't love them. I love their look, I love their jersey, I love their logo. It's really, really clean. But the team overall is kind of in, again, kind of like the LA Kings, that middle area. I love some players like Matt Barzal, Anthony Beauvillier. They got some great young players, but then I hate some players. They got Cal Clutterbuck, Dennis Seidenberg. They just made some weird decisions, and they have been making some weird decisions. Bringing back Matt Martin, getting Leo Komarov. It's a weird situation, and I feel like they're heading in a decent area, of course, with getting Barry Trotz and having Lou Lamoriello, but the team overall is kind of in that middle area, and I don't see that really changing. At number 16, I have the Colorado Avalanche, and they're a team that I really did enjoy watching this past season. Of course, they had that terrible year 2 years ago where they were just one of the worst teams in the history of the NHL in the salary cap era and even in the live puck era. It was really a devastating blow, but this past season, they recollected. Nathan MacKinnon is a hard candidate and probably should have won it, and they lead them to the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they played pretty well against the Nashville Predators. It was a great story, and of course, I love the team overall. They really made great strides to improve on themselves, and of course, the youth for the future is looking very, very good. I like their logo. I like their new look, going back to the retro jerseys that they had in the 1990s and the 2000s. I like the direction that Colorado is heading. I feel like they'll be pretty decent again next year, but the team was very likable last season. I think that they'll continue for the next seasons to come. At number 15, I have the Carolina Hurricanes, and again, they've been in that middle area to where I like them, but wow, are they frustrating to watch. I've really been rooting for Carolina to have a breakout season in the last couple of years. I thought they could do it this last season, and I really believed in them. But again, Scott Darling happens, and the Carolina Hurricanes miss the playoffs. I still have a little bit of hope in them, but the team overall is in a weird situation to where I'm just so frustrated with them in the last couple of years after having hopes for them, high hopes for them, and I'm just failing every single time to where I'm just in this area of just disappointment, but also still hope at the same time. Carolina has disappointed me quite a bit in the last couple of years, and in that mucky area, straight dab in the middle of number 15, I feel like is the best spot for them. At number 14, I have the Nashville Predators, and they've dipped a little bit in my last year's rankings. I really did like Nashville's run in the 2017 Cup Finals to lose to the Pittsburgh Penguins, but I really did like that team, and I just did not see the same kind of stuff from them this past season. Of course, I'm pretty sure they won the President's Trophy, and they were the dominant team, which just maybe a little bit less. I like them a little bit less. I like them being the underdog story in 2017. I like them going to the Cup after being an 8th seed. I really like that story and them becoming the best team in the league. Really, I think downplayed them a little bit, and of course they did not get the success in the playoffs. I love their logo. The jerseys, of course, are pretty bad, but I love that logo. I like the look overall. The team is very, very likable. They got great guys like Arvidsson, Johansson, and the defense is incredible. They got a fantastic team, but to me, I love the underdog story, and this past season, they just were not able to do so as they were really just too good. At number 13, I have the Columbus Blue Jackets, and most of the reason why they're this high is completely of Seth Jones, of course. A lot of you guys know I'm born in Texas, I'm born in Dallas, and having Seth Jones being a product has really risen up the Columbus Blue Jackets in my books, and Seth Jones dominating is fantastic as well. Of course, as I said, I love Seth Jones, so the team rises with that. I like their logo, I like their jersey, I love their look. I'm hoping that they can get some playoff success next year, hopefully, but I like the team, and I wish them success, and I do like them as they've risen in the last couple of years because of guys like Seth Jones and other likable guys as well. At number 12, I have the Arizona Coyotes, and this is similar to the Carolina Hurricanes, and when I just think that they can make the playoffs, they disappoint me once again. Now, this past season was interesting. Of course, they had that terrible first stretch, going, I think there was 0-10, and in the second half, they were really, really good. But with the Arizona Coyotes, I love their logo. I love their jersey. It's fantastic. I like where the direction the Arizona Coyotes are headed. I like this offseason where they got Galchenyuk and other guys. I really like where the Arizona Coyotes are headed. I don't know if they'll be a plat team, but I'm sure hoping that they can be competitive. As under my number 12 team, I'm really hoping that they can get some sort of success to at least be a contender so we can actually see Arizona heading in a good direction for once. At number 11, I have the Minnesota Wild, and they've been kind of at that 10, kind of 11 spot for quite a while. I do like the team, and the direction is kind of wonky, but we'll get into that. I love their logo. As I did in my logo ranking video, I put them at number 1. I love that logo to death. That jersey is phenomenal. I love the red that they incorporated. I love the stripe along the crest. I really like what they did now of the Adidas jersey. They're looking as sharp as ever. I like a lot of players on the team. You got Coyle, you got Granlund, you got Niederreiter, you got a lot of solid guys, and I really do like the team and the young guys that they have. And they've been in that spot to where I like them, just not love them. I cheer for them at points, but the team overall is very solid in my books, and I do cheer for them at points because I love some of those players, and I do wish success for them. At number 10, we have back-to-back Central Division teams. I have at number 10 the Winnipeg Jets. Now, of course, I'm going to be honest, this past season really did rise them in my books, but to me, I have always had a soft spot for them. Those jerseys are, 1, phenomenal. That logo is 2, phenomenal, and they just have a fantastic look and have always had a fantastic look in Winnipeg's history for sure. The team overall is super, super likable. They got a lot of guys I can definitely root for and definitely have a great time with. Kyle Connor, Scheifele, Buff, Byfuglien, Wheeler. They got a lot of great guys over there, and their future is looking so bright. Florida Panthers, and this kind of surprised me a little bit, but this past season, I had a ton of fun watching Florida, and even though they didn't make the playoffs, they were super close, and I was really rooting for them to get past New Jersey to make the playoffs. With Florida, I love that logo. I love that jersey. They just work so well. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I love that new look that they have. And some of the players that they have are just great. I love Huberdeau. I love Barkov. I love Trocheck. You got Roberto Luongo, still at age like 41, still trucking it. And they got a lot of solid players and a lot of players that are really likable. For Florida, they've risen in the past couple of years because, of course, the beginning of the playoffs, I love that part. But then they got that rebranding, and this team in general, to me, is very likable with the players that they have and the jerseys and logos that they have. Now at number 8, I have the Edmonton Oilers, and they've been in that position for a couple of years now, and I'm going to be honest, I really did bandwagon on the team and when they made the playoffs and when they broke that playoff streak of 10 years in Edmonton. I really did love that story, and I did really love the team at that point. I like their jerseys. I know that's a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but I like that orange. I think it works pretty well. And of course, that logo is classic as well. Connor McDavid, you can't forget about the team. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Darnell Nurse, Clefbaum. They got a lot of decent, solid, likable players, and for me, I do like the team overall. I've been rooting for them the past couple of years. Of course, this past season was not the greatest, but I am going to continue rooting for them. I do like the team, I like the look, and of course, I love those players. At number 7, we have back-to-back Albertan teams. I have the Calgary Flames at number 7, and this goes back quite a bit. So my dad is from Calgary. He's a Flames fan. So for me, while he didn't really foster a Flames, I guess, likehood in me, I do like that story. Of course, my dad being from there, and of course the Flames. I did live in Calgary for about a year when I was 5, and I like that story. I do like the Flames. I really like those jerseys. That logo is very solid, and the team is very likable. Johnny Gaudreau, Sean Monahan, Mike Smith, that defense is great. I feel like the team is very likable, and they're heading in a great direction, hopefully. Now at number 6, I have the Stanley Cup champions, Washington Capitals, and no, this is not a bandwagon thing. I've liked them pretty much since I've been a hockey fan. They haven't been my favorite team ever, but I have always had a soft spot for them. I've always had a soft spot for Washington, especially when they were getting beaten in the playoffs by Pittsburgh, by New York. I really like the story of them being that team that was always supposed to win, but never being able to do it. And of course, this past season, being Pittsburgh, being Tampa, being Vegas, was the ultimate story for Ovechkin getting that first cup, and they've risen a little bit into my books because of that. Great story this past season, but I've always liked cheering for Washington. I've always liked that team. It's great to see, of course, them winning the Stanley Cup this past season. Well deserved. At number 5, I have the San Jose Sharks, and again, this is kind of like a bandwagon type thing, but in 2016, I really did like the story of that team. Of course, them getting into the Stanley Cup final. I really did like that team. I love Logan Couture, Joe Pavelski, Brent Burns, Martin Jones. They just have such a likable team, and for me, while they don't go kind of under the radar every season, they're always a fantastic team to watch, and a fun one at that. They're a fun team. They got excellent players, and of course, they got one of the biggest personalities in Brent Burns. That logo is straight fantastic. The jersey is great. The team overall is fantastic. I love their look, and I just love watching them play. At number 4, I have the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, before you say, oh, I'm a bandwagon, no, it's not like that. The season that I became a Maple Leafs fan was actually the season that before they got Austin Matthews. So it was the season that, of course, they were the worst team in the league, and they were not even supposed to win the lottery, but they had the first odds. I really did like the team just because I was kind of feeling bad for them. There was just so many memes, and I remember being a casual hockey fan and just scrolling through hockey memes, and the Toronto Maple Leafs pretty much being the joke of the pack, and I just liked cheering for them just because I thought that they could be better someday. Of course, they get Austin Matthews, they go for a rebrand, and they get the team that they have now, and it's great to see them evolve, and of course, me evolve as a hockey fan with them, and then becoming one of my favorite teams because I've just liked them a lot, even since I've been a casual. Number 3, I have the Vegas Golden Knights, and no, I am not a bandwagon with this. You can go back a year ago when I ranked my favorite NHL teams. It was back in September, I think it was, and Vegas was 3rd. At that moment when Vegas unveiled that logo, I really did like the jerseys that they unveiled, and at that point I said, I'm going to become a Vegas fan. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to just stick with the team as long as they're bad. And I was prepared for that. I was prepared for them to be bad for 3-4 years. I really liked their future with the prospects. I felt that they had a good draft, and they did have a great draft. But I was prepared for them to be really, really bad, as a lot of people pegged them to be, and even I pegged them to be. I was a Vegas fan before they had even played a game, and I was just wishing that they'd have some success, that they'd, stay in Vegas, and that Vegas would wrap around them. And boy, did that happen. Vegas banded around them, and the Vegas Golden Knights took advantage. They had a great season, getting to the Stanley Cup final. Who would have thought that? And to me, Vegas becoming one of my favorite teams, even before they played a game, was one of my best decisions that I made as a hockey fan, because I can say, hey, I was a Vegas fan before they were actually good. Now, at number 2, I have the Tampa Bay Lightning, and this goes back to the 2015 Stanley Cup Final. Of course, they were facing the Chicago Blackhawks, and you know my thoughts about the Chicago Blackhawks. They're 31st on the list, but I was cheering for them pretty hard. Of course, they lost in that Stanley Cup Final pretty handily. But my really fan for that team didn't really start until like 2016. I think it was the season when they missed the playoffs by a couple of points. I think it was last season. They missed by a couple of points. Kucherov broke out. Brayden Point broke out, and I really did start to love the team. I loved Andre Vasilevsky. I loved the team around him, and of course Ben Bishop. They were a really, really likable team, and for me, I really did like their look. I loved their players. They're some of the most likable players in the league, and for me, I just banded around the team, and even though they didn't make the playoffs, they were looking very, very good for next year, and of course, they won their Atlantic Division, and got the third round against Washington, so having them as my second favorite team worked out pretty well in the end, and they'll still be a very, very good team next year. Now at number 1, this is pretty much obvious by anyone even looking at my jersey and has even been on the channel at all. The Dallas Stars are my first favorite team. Now, of course, I've been a hockey fan for about 4 years now, and the Dallas Stars have always been there. Of course, as I said before, I grew up, I've been in Dallas, I'm born in Dallas, I've lived in Dallas, and I'm living now in Dallas, so the Dallas Stars have always been my team. They've always been the team that I've cheered for, even when I was technically a casual hockey fan. The Dallas Stars have always been there, and of course I've been liking them since they came into that Victory Green era, and of course them having that 2015 big season, that big breakout season, really started to make me a hockey fan, really started to make me have interest in the game, and of course the team being so good really encapsulated me into watching more hockey, watching more Dallas Stars hockey, and becoming an NHL fan in general. The Dallas Stars have been around ever since I was technically a casual hockey fan. They bring me into the game of hockey. They bring me into the game of hockey to become my favorite sport now, and I can't really repay them for that ever, for what they did for me to become a hockey fan. And of course, while some of these teams may change, Dallas will forever be my first favorite team. That's pretty much a confirmed thing until the day I die. So, of course, that was a likely long video. If you got this far, thank you for tuning in. But again, I want to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on my lists? And of course, I want to hear your guys'. What is your favorite teams? What is your least favorite teams? I want to know. This is the best part about this. So that is going to be it for today, guys. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe. Greatly appreciate it if you did so. Again, let me know what your favorite teams are, what your least favorite teams are, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.